Okay, so first we need to go get a song. So I'm going to actually go over to Google Classroom, find the streaming page, and here is the song that we're going to build together. A song on piano is two different things. It's the frequency of the tone you want to play, and then how long that tone lasts, and then a space between the tones. So we'll do all of those different steps. So first one here is, this is the song we're going to play. I'm going to go Control C. So make sure you highlight even the I here and all the way down through the semicolon here. Come back over to the code, go to the Play Song tab. And inside the Play Song function, I'm going to hit V to paste those things in there. And I'm just going to grab these couple lines because they're not indented properly. Hit Tab, and that indents them sort of. I'm going to tab these over real quick. Well, maybe I'm not going to do that. All right. Come here to the end, open up a few lines of space. Make sure this bottom curly brace stays. Remember, that's the one that closes the Play Song function. And now here's what we have. This says that we want to play this for this song. You should play 440 hertz frequency for a duration of 750 milliseconds, a quarter of a second. And then do 440 again after a short pause at another 750. So these two are the same note for same duration. Then 440 at 125, 440, 125. So these two lists have the tone here, the note you're playing, and then how long it's playing for lines up with the same place. These two are called arrays or lists. So basically an array or a list, some languages call them lists, some call them arrays. They are the same thing. It's just a collection of numbers. So it's like a variable where it can store data, but unlike a variable, it can store only one piece of data at a time. A list can store a whole bunch of data, and the commas separate between the different data points. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how do I get after that data? How do I find a certain piece of data? Well, if I wanted to pull up this first piece of data, I would type in code that looks like this. My tone, square brace, 0, square brace. What this code says is go find the my tone list. Arduino knows it's the list because you use the square braces. And then go down to the 0 element. So elements are the names of all the different pieces of data in here. So each one of these between the commas is called a different element. And the elements are numbered starting at 0 like programmers do, which can be really confusing, but that's just how programmers start counting. So this is the 0 element. If you wanted this one over here, you would just count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Except I should have started, did I start at 0? I don't remember. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. I didn't. I started there. That would be my tone 11 would return the 12th thing in the list because we start counting at 0. All right. So now what we need to do is we need to create some code that's going to go through this list, grabbing this tone and this duration, playing them, having a short pause, and then grabbing this tone, the next tone in the list, and the next duration. Next, 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 next. The code that does this is called a traversal because it traverses, it passes over the lists, doing something to it. All right, let's get to it. So once we start to play the song playback, we're gonna just dive right into the song as soon as it gets there. Well, I guess not as soon as we get there. Let's put a little delay in. So let's put a 1,000 millisecond delay. That's a 1 second delay at the very beginning. Adds a 1 second delay. Whoops, except I can't type. And we'll put this as a comment. Forgot the comment signs. This way, the moment we hit the song mode, we don't just start playing the song. Give us a 1 second delay between that. That might be nice. You can change the value of that, of course, if you like. And then here, we're going to start into it. So what we're going to use is a for loop. So we're going to do a for loop that's the length of the thing. We need to do this for loop. If there are 50 different tones, we need a for loop that does 50 different loops through. So to do that, we have to actually measure how big the tone is. Because you might change this song out for a different song that's a different length. We need Arduino to actually measure that song every time. To do that, we're going to build some code actually before the for loop. And we're going to call this int array size. So this is just a variable that we're creating. Create whatever name you want for it. Or maybe let's call it a list size. I like the use of the list name instead of array. Array makes it sound hard. A list, I think, is more accessible. And this is the more modern use of it. Most people call these things lists now. All right, so list size. Here's how this works. There's a function built into Arduino that can measure the size of a list. So the function is called size of. And then you're going to put in the name of the thing you're trying to measure the size of. So we're going to do the size of the myTone list. What that's going to return is how much total memory myTone has allocated to it. Not how many things are in it, but how much total memory is in it. So each of these little blocks of code, each of these little elements, get the same amount of memory assigned to them, just like an integer variable would. So this is going to give us back some big number like, 3,000 bytes of memory are being used. But that doesn't tell us how many, and what we really want to know is how many chunks there are. So what we have to do now is we have to divide by the size of, again, size of, and then myTone 0. I'll tell you what that does. myTone square bracket 0. So this gives the total amount of memory that's stored in myTone, the whole big list, how much total memory it uses. This tells it how much memory is in the used for the first element. So if the whole thing is 1,000 and the first one was used only 10 memory, 1,000 divided by 10, there must be 100 elements in there. So if that's like blowing your mind, don't worry about the math part of that yet. We can deal with that later. But what this will do is end up telling us the number of elements in our list. So let's see, measures the number of elements in the list. Now the number of elements in the myTone and the myDuration should be the same for the same song, because this should be created that way. So now we know the list size and myList. And to find that out, we can hit enter and just do a serial.print, and let's do, oh man, I'm just a mess right now. Let me clean this up. Print ln, we want a new line after this, and let's just print list size. And semicolon. So this prints the size of the array. And let's comment that out. We won't need that unless we're testing something. And then let's go through the for loop now. All right, now we know how big the array is. So our for loop needs to repeat this many times. So whatever number is stored in a list size needs to repeat that many times. So for integer I equals 0. So that's establishing the starting point for the I. And then a semicolon between. This for loop is weird because the internal elements in here are separated by semicolons, not commas like most are. And then we want to go I, keep repeating as long as I is less than list size. So if this thing is 15 elements long, so has 15 tones in it, we're going to repeat 15 times, starting at 0, ending at 14. All right, and then semicolon, and then I plus plus. And remember, this third part of it here tells it how much to go up by every time. All right, so after that, I'm going to put in a curly brace to open the for statement. And what we need to do is start off by playing the tone, this tone for this long. Here's how this works. Watch how cool this is. So we use that same tone command we were using before. We tell it what pin that we're going to play the tone on. So I'm going to come back here to my main code and find that pin number. Speaker pin is what we called it. I'm going to copy that, go back to my song code, and put that first. So speaker pin, and then there are 3 parts to tone. As many as 3. You need at least 2, so you need speaker pin and tone, but you can also do the duration is there as well. So I'm going to do, instead of putting 440 here, I'm going to put in this, my tone, and instead of a parenthesis, I'm going to put in a square bracket to let it know that I'm talking about the this thing up here, the list up here, my tone, and I want to go my tone I. Now that might be confusing why I chose I here instead of like 0, because I really want to play the first one. If I put 0 in, it's going to play the same tone over and over and over again. But what I really want to do is start with the first one, and then the second time the for loop comes around, play the next one. And if I put I here, I is going to start out at 0, and then increase by 1 to 1, and then to 2, and then 3, every time playing that next tone. So that's pretty cool. And then I need to do the duration next. So this code, this tone function will accept 3 things at most: speaker pin, my tone, and then duration. So I'm going to come up here, copy and paste the my duration down to here, and then also do I. That way the first time it goes through, it goes my tone I, my duration I, and then semicolon here. Now I want to put in a little bit of a delay because I don't want the 2 different tones to start right after each other. There's a little bit of pause between them. And then I'm going to try this for the delay. So I'm going to use the same duration up here. So if there was a long play of the tone, there'll be a fairly long pause. So it'll kind of match the 2. And then I did a times 1.1. And this number just makes the song either play faster or slower. If you make it a smaller number, it'll make it play slower. If you make it a bigger number, no, sorry, other way around. If you make it a bigger number, it'll make it play the song play slower. If you make it smaller, it'll play faster. You can play around with that to see what happens in the code. And let's put in something. Plays the tone for each element of the list. Okay. And this one, this cycles through each element of the list. So this is called a transversal because we're moving through the list, doing something to the list the whole time. And then, yep, that looks good. And that's our for loop. So the first time through, I is equal to 0. It's going to play tone 0, which is 440, for a duration of my duration 0, which is 750. Then it's going to have a short delay, and then it's going to repeat that for loop, changing I from 0 up to 1. So now it's going to play position 1, which is the 440, add a duration 1, which is 750, and it's just going to march through the code, doing that over and over again, matching up each of these tones with their corresponding durations. All right, at this point, you should have a functioning play song. It is going to just repeat the code, so be ready for just a repetitive song. If you want, you could try building in some code that will maybe only launch this code if any of the keys are pressed on the keyboard. That's a possibility because that still is, you have to do a key value read for that, or some other way to trigger it. Have fun with the rest of the code. I hope you enjoyed that. This is called a traversal. Moving through a list and doing something to a list is like a really important programming thing. All right, good job, everyone. Let me know how it works.